um, Airsoft Pro, brought to you by YouTube. Hello guys, what's up? So this is a follow-up video on the upgrading video, which I've just recently posted. Where I talked about a lot of high-speed upgrades and all that kind of stuff, high-speed components. In this video, I just want to talk about more high torque instead of high speed. I want to talk more about like higher FPS than rounds per second. Okay, so for aspects of a higher torque motor inside your gearbox, you want the most strength, because you want to pull back the hardest spring you possibly can. Because the hardest spring you have will provide the most compression, and will propel the BB faster as it leaves the barrel. So what you're thinking about is it's going to be heavier. It's not going to be not nearly as light as you would have the components of a higher speed upgrade. You'd have different gears, different piston, different pretty much cylinder head, cylinder than you would normally. So the first thing, like I said in the last video, open up your gearbox, see what you already have. I just recently bought some upgrade parts to make my M4 systems from JG. I wanted to make it more of a high torque with a higher FPS. So I opened it up and I already realized that I already had a metal spring guide. So I didn't need to buy that. Okay, save money. That's all you need. So right there, I mean, just look inside your gearbox to see what you already have. Metal bushings. If you have like some Chinese clones, they might give you some metal bushings in there, which are the part that connects like the sort of like the gears to the mech box, or the outer shell of the gearbox. I mean, the more metal you have in there, the better. If you're going for high torque, it's definitely what you want. You definitely want more metal for high torque. You want highest reliability possible, because you're going to be pushing back. It's like a crazy amount of tension from that spring. It's just going to go back, and it's just going to go back and forth. And what's going to be inside, it's going to be so much tension. You want it to be metal, because you want it to be strong enough to handle it, pretty much. Okay, so these springs range from more like M120 springs and higher, all the way up to, I think the highest, as far as I know, is like M180 spring, which would be around 700 FPS, I think, as I believe. There's also different type of springs, but I'm not going to go into that right now. There's also like non-linear springs and linear springs, and I'm not going to go into that. Irregular pitch springs, but whatever. When you guys are looking at the websites, just, you know, if you have any questions, just message me and I'll go more into detail if you need me to. So in my M4, what I already had was an M120. It was a good spring. It probably got me around, I want to say 390 to around 400 FPS. It was advertised to be a little bit higher, but you know, sometimes advertisements are higher or sometimes they're a lot lower than they actually say they are. So it's complicated. But the M120, I mean, it was a good spring and it definitely was reliable. It had a nice amount of power and reliability. But I was thinking that now, you know, after having this gun for so many years, that I want to upgrade it to more of a higher velocity rifle. So I just purchased a Prometheus irregular pitch M170 spring off of evike.com. It's a good website. I would definitely recommend that. It's definitely one of the higher grades of websites. I definitely trust them. You know, whatever they need. They're located in California, so shipping sucks. But what are you gonna do? Okay, so with a high torque motor, your goal is just to have the best compression as possible. Because the better the compression, the more air is going to flow through the cylinder from the spring and the piston. It's going to flow through the cylinder, through the cylinder head, through the air nozzle, and it's going to just push the BB as fast as it possibly can, using, you know, the compression that you have. Yeah, so as the numbers go up, like obviously M170 has a lot more tension than M120 spring. So as you go up M120, M130, M140, the tensions get higher. It gets harder to push the spring back. It gets tougher, just so that once it's pushed back, you have the most possible potential energy once it's pushed back inside of the piston. So that once it's released, it shoots forward faster, more air is compressed, and it just shoots out the BB at a higher velocity than you would normally have in a regular non-high torque spring, I guess. So the one thing you definitely need to worry about, which is different from really a high speed motor, is the gears. The gears, I mean, once you're under that much stress, it's very important to have high torque gears. Now, you could either have regular high torque gears. I think Systema makes some good ones. I think GMP makes some good ones too. But a good option to look into if you're looking to upgrade parts is helical gears. Now, what this means is that the teeth on the gears are slanted. Like, they're not normal up and down, like the normal straightforward gears would have. They're slanted, which gives them more power. Not really more power. It gives them more like strength. Would be a better word. And it's just they won't strip as easy. I mean, you can really get away with high velocities when you have helical gears. Now the piston when you have a piston, like with this piston, my old JG, even though it was pushing M120, I mean, and these are plastic, that's pretty much like, you know, crossing the line pretty much. When you go into a high torque spring, you really should get a piston with metal teeth. Now this one has its last tooth metal for some reason. I guess that was the one under the most stress. But you want a rag of teeth that have that are metal, obviously, so that when your sector gear, if I can find it, when your sector gear attaches to it at that high torque velocity, it doesn't strip it. It doesn't strip the plastic. So you want metal, so it doesn't strip. That's the whole point. I think I just ordered aluminum. I forget what company. Piston. The whole thing's metal, gears and all. I mean, yeah, gears, teeth. That's all metal. It's all strong. So that should handle the M170 spring, which should hopefully get me around 550, 600 FPS, around there. Now, a little bit of a warning: if you're trying to upgrade something like that, there is a little bit of a risk, obviously, because the safe spot is around 450, 500 FPS. That's your safe spot. That's where you have a nice amount of power, or like a good amount of reliability. Once you cross that line, you're risking the chance of like maybe stripping a gear, stripping the piston, like I said, or just cracking maybe the piston head or the cylinder head if it's not properly, you know, if it's not made of the proper materials, which I'll get into later. But so when you go over that line, when you go over, let's say, like you want to go for 700 FPS, 800 FPS, that's when you're crossing the line where you're like, I have to get like the highest stuff in there, I have to get the highest grade material in there, the highest, you know, just the best stuff I can possibly get to put in there, pretty much. Just to have the highest chance of it surviving itself, pretty much. Like, so the highest chance of it not destroying itself as it shoots. Now, a big part of that would obviously be metal piston head and a metal cylinder head. Now, the whole point is, when you have the piston head and the cylinder head, when they come together, you don't want plastic at that velocity hitting themselves. You know, when you're compressing the air throughout the air nozzle. That's it, because you don't want plastic on plastic. Metal on metal is much stronger. Obviously, it's not gonna break. It's gonna be more reliable. But this is for more around 500, 600 FPS. I think M180, M170, those are for more like sniper rifles. But even though I am trying to go for an AEG to have an M170 spring, hopefully it works. I'll make a video later, tell you how that's going. What else? Oh, now this is as I said, I showed you in the high speed upgrade video. If you watched it, this is actually a high torque motor. This was able to push an M120 spring. This is from JG. Very good motor. Has a high amount of magnetism. It really, I mean, just simple things. So, I mean, it was a good motor, but as I'm pushing the higher springs, I need a higher torque motor. You can't just use any high torque motor to push any spring. You need specific motors made to do the job. Now, I think the best one you can probably get is around a Systema Magnum. Pretty much anything with Magnum is decent. I think I ordered a Matrix Magnum. That was able to pull up to an M180. I'm getting an M170 spring, so hopefully I shouldn't have any problems with the motor, well, motor-wise. I am keeping the original JG gears because I do hear that they are, even though they're from Japan, obviously China, and even though they're clones of different guns, they actually do make high torque and high strength gears. So I'm gonna try my luck with them. If they don't work, I'm gonna have to go with probably some more Helic gears. And yeah. Cylinder head. Now the cylinder head obviously is what this the cylinder, when this passes through the cylinder, it reaches the cylinder head. Now you should get a metal cylinder head, especially definitely if you push in the higher FPSs. Just because you want the best compression, and plastic isn't going to do it for you. It's not reliable enough, and it's not going to get you the amount of compression that you want to propel your BBs forward. What else? Gears, piston, cylinder. You definitely need your gears to swim correctly. You need them just to be perfectly spaced in your mech box. That's incredibly important. You don't want any tension between your first gear over here and your motor. You want them to fit snug, I guess. You don't want any more tension on your gears than you really need to. So yeah. So any questions, any problems, message me. Video response, whatever. I'll get back to you guys. I'm doing this for you guys. I'm trying to help you out. So any questions, don't hesitate to ask. And if you like the video, please subscribe. So that would help me out a lot. If you guys have any ideas of videos you want me to make, any topics you want me to cover, I got you. So thank you for watching. Bye.